Good evening, everyone. I'm Shannon Rutherford, and I'm the town planner for Farmington. This is the Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting. We will start with the roll call of members. Peter Zarella.
Here.
Robert Canto.
Here.
Scott Halstead.
Here.
Liz Sanford.
Here.
David St. Germain.
Here.
Mike Coster.
Here.
Mike Tucci.
Here.
I will note for the record that alternate member Bruce Polsky is absent. All full members are here this evening, and we are still functioning as a 5-member board, as there has not been a replacement for Commissioner Vandal. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Thanks, Sean. Welcome everyone to the December 8th Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting. One little housekeeping item. If anybody is here for the first public hearing, William Clark, 14 Mountain Road, that's being continued to the 26th of January. So just wanted to let everybody know in case anybody was here for that. Liz, the legal notice.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that the Town Plan and Zoning Commission will hold a hybrid in-person and online public hearing on December 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers on the following applications. Mark Borghese application for special permit and site plan review with waivers for the construction of a 9,000 square foot contractor storage building at 1533 New Britain Avenue in a CR zone. Interested parties are encouraged to participate in this hybrid public hearing. Participation in person is at 1 Monteith Drive, Town Hall, Town Council Chambers, or online participation is via the link to the meeting on the Town of Farmington's website. A copy of this proposal is online or available by calling the planning department at Town of Farmington Town Hall, dated at Farmington, Connecticut, this 20th day of November 2025.
Thanks, Liz. Let's jump right into our new business. Our first item is Spy Farm LLC. Come on up. Yep. Yes, please.
All right. Thank you for hearing me and accepting our application. My name is Paul Batista. I'm also here with my wife, Ashley, and my father, Paul, as well. All of us are Farmington residents. We live over 6 Southridge Road and are active in the community. So my wife, Noah Wallace, PTO president for a few years. Some of you probably know her from that, as well as a Girl Scout troop leader and land trust steward. Recently we coached a soccer team in Farmington, and that led to the inspiration for this project here. In the coaching process, we recognized how much children's activities affect self-confidence. And we saw students who were amazing at soccer, but had low self-confidence, and some students who were not very good at soccer and had good self-confidence, right? It didn't really equate to just skill set. And whether a team sport you won or lost, that kind of helped or hurt everyone's self-confidence, unfortunately, as a team sport. And my background is in security for the last 20 years, including a time about 5 years at CIA. And so that experience there and the combination of my experience in CIA drew me to this idea of, well, what if we could build self-confidence in children by giving them skills that they learn over time. And so this is a project we've been working on now for the last 6 months in terms of an idea, and then we purchased a building, 9 Eastview Drive, to hopefully make this a reality. Part of that involves Nutmeg Television was in the building, the whole building previously. They're moving into about 2/3 of the building. We're moving into a third, if approved, and plan to run programs across 1 hour after school programs, 30 minutes of cognitive work, including teaching science, technology, engineering, and math, how to build spy gadgets. Hence the theme, really hide that education in there. And then 30 minutes of physical. So that includes self-defense, escape and evasion, obstacle course setup, as well as simulators. For instance, driving helicopter simulators, flight simulators. Plan to do it as a continuous program, so not something that's like, go there and do a birthday party and and leave. So it's not meant to just be a entertainment thing. It really is truly structured to be educational to the children, and hopefully we can have students enjoy this long term. The plan is to start with middle school students aged up and above, and then potentially, if there's interest, work down in age down to maybe 8-year-olds and above. Just kind of ideas throughout the process is like what could build self-confidence in a child more than a child being able to fly a helicopter, right? Their peers at school don't know how to fly a helicopter. They learn on a simulator, and one way to build self-confidence or defend themselves or escape a bad situation. And then the other thing that's really interesting to me is our future. I have 2 daughters, both going to Farmington schools. And what is the future with some of the changes we have in AI coming? These are real significant changes in terms of career paths going forward. So being able to teach children those soft skills, how to understand and build relationships, conflict avoidance, as well as just being a great human being and ethics component of the program as well. With that, I'll open up to questions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the presentation. Sounds like a very interesting idea, and always good to see new types of education opportunities for our kids in town. So we'll love to see that. I had a question about sort of the anticipated class sizes. I think it said in the application you're expecting classes of 8. And are you expecting parents to drop off students and leave the children, or will there be a seating area for parents while their kids are in the class?
Yes to both. So class size of 8, planning a drop-off program. There isn't much seating, so we plan to have a couple seats there, but not enough for all the parents. So the hope is that they do more of a drop-off program. And with the age group that we're starting with, we expect more of a drop-off situation.
Okay. And what are your planned hours of operation?
So after school, 5 to 9 p.m.
5 to 9 p.m. Okay. And do you know what the hours of operation of the building has been historically?
Historically, it's been mostly daytime programs for them. Yeah, they have about 5 employees, and they're not there. All 5 employees are typically not there every day of the week. So they're there usually Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Thursday, and not every employee. So it's pretty limited use. They have occasional clients that come in and film.
Okay. And are you planning on any weekend programming?
Not at this time.
And are you making any physical changes to the exterior of the building?
Not unless required. So by required, I mean working with a fire marshal. If we need an additional fire exit, then that would be the only planned exterior change.
Okay.
It's in the plan there that was shared.
Yeah. Great, thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Bob?
No, a great presentation. I think it's a great concept. Useful skills that kids can use today. I think I'm good. Peter grabbed everything, so I'm pretty good.
Thanks, Bob. Liz?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. My one question is, so you're going to start small, say maybe 1 class, and then build as interest and as it grows? Okay.
Yes, correct. Yeah, hope to have 1 or 2 classes to start if possible. If, 0 customers so far, of course.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start, yeah.
So, okay. So I imagine, say, a 6 or an 8-week program type duration, and then cycling classes that way.
That's right. Yeah. And hopefully rotating curriculum. So to keep interest across different programs. Mm-hmm.
Do you anticipate like a summer camp type?
Not at this time.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Nice presentation. Thanks. I'm looking, we talked about regular parking on East Eastview Drive should not be happening, is that right?
That's right. No, no plan to park on the street.
Looks like you got plenty of spaces there.
And I did notice one thing in the application or the summary agenda item. There is no longer a shed there at Eastview. So actually it might even be there. So that we do have a possibility of having a few extra parking spots because that the previous owner removed that shed before we purchased the building.
And in terms of growth, like how big are you hoping to get? If you're confined to that building, how many kids could you accommodate?
So the plan is to offset classes by about 30 minutes and run up to 3 classes at a time. There's a space for we plan to have 4 different spaces. So simulator area, a lab for building, self-defense martial arts area, and then an obstacle course. But never plan on using all 4 of them at once. So the plan would be to use 2 or 3 at a time.
So what kind of numbers are you thinking?
In terms of students?
They go where you want,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, over time right now, my wife and I both have full-time jobs, including supporting the government. So right now it's pretty limited in terms of what our time is. But if we, if there's enough interest and we're seeing the value for the kids, then maybe it becomes something a little bit more full-time for us. In which case, I'd like to have classes every day of the week. To start, we're going to probably have 1 or 2 days of the week that all will be operating. But yeah, we'd love to get to where we're, working, 4 or 5 days a week and a few classes every night.
Great. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Everybody covered everything. Honestly, if you have 2 classes going, 8 people per class, even if every parent stayed, there's 24 parking spots occupied plus 2 employees. I don't really see an issue. Yeah.
Great. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Check with Mike Tucci online. Mike, any questions?
No, more of a comment. I just think it's an awesome idea. Great presentation. As a former STEM teacher myself for Teach of America, I think learning through play is an awesome idea for kids. It was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I think it's a great idea too. I don't have any questions. My fellow commissioners kind of took them all. So let me just check in one more time. Any questions pop up for anybody? Good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion, folks. Straightforward.
Yeah.
Seems pretty straightforward to me.
Okay. Can we get a motion in a second?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the application, right? That we approve the application for site plan modification for a SPY-themed science, technology, engineering, math, and physical fitness educational facility at 9 Eastview Drive in the CR zone made by Spy Farm LLC.
Second.
All right, one more check. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Best of luck.
Good luck.
I lost you. Oh, there you are on the back. Best of luck. All right, item number 2, 402 Farmington Ave LLC.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. I am Kyle Richards from the Metro Realty Group, and I'm hopeful that this is a relatively simple request on a community that we presently have underway at 402 Farmington Avenue. This is a site plan modification because there's a condition of approval relating to construction activities on the weekend that we would respectfully request your consideration to modify and allow for internal only construction activities on Saturdays between the hours of 7:30 and 3:30. It seems like a lifetime ago that we got this approved. I think Shannon could probably agree with that. But for those of you who weren't seated at the time, that's a site plan in front of you of the community underway. But it is a 130 unit community in a single building with a central courtyard. This specific community has both market rate and affordability components to it. And we are well underway into the construction, as you can see from, I think, some of the additional shots that she has there in the on the screen. So the building is completely enclosed at this point. All the windows, doors, the roof, everything is entirely enclosed. And all of the heavy intensive construction activities, the blasting, the heavy site work, the framing, all of the things that you associate with noise are behind us. And the reason for the original condition of approval way back in 2021 was as a consideration for the neighborhood because there were concerns relating to what the noise might be for construction. And so at this time, with 6 to 9 months, maybe 10 months of construction ahead of us, we can reduce the duration of the remaining construction by a couple months to the extent we can continue internally only in the hours on Saturday that we're requesting. Again, fully enclosed building, we're talking about laying carpet, we're talking about painting, putting insulation in walls, electrical work. None of this work is perceptible to the outside world, which is the reason why, trust me, the last thing we ever wanted to do would be to come back to the commission again on what was already a very long process with this particular community. But I think it's prudent and a sensible request, given the fact that I think everyone can agree that a shorter duration on construction will benefit. It'll benefit us. I think it benefits the surrounding property owners, and ultimately will enable the residents, both market rate and affordable, to move into this community earlier. So that's the high level. Again, request is just for Saturdays, 7:30 to 3:30. Internal only. There'll be no heavy construction vehicles on the site. The only vehicles that will be there will be the ones that will transport the workers to get there. And once they're there, absolutely everything that we're requesting will go on within the confines of the building. So with that, I will pause, and to the extent you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Yeah, thank you. Let me check with the commissioners. Peter, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
No questions.
Excuse me, no, it seems like a reasonable request. I guess just, so when you say vehicles transported, that's just the guys driving up in the trucks? Okay,
Correct.
that's it. Thank you.
So there's a central courtyard in there, is that right?
Yes,
So work wouldn't be going in the
Correct.
courtyard, but actually just in the building, within the building itself.
correct.
And can I ask what the reason for the prohibition for Saturdays? Do you remember why that came about? I wasn't here for that.
Yeah, it was, the condition was placed on the development because of concerns relating to noise expressed by the neighborhood. And it wasn't, and to be frank, it wasn't an unreasonable request or an unreasonable condition. There was a lot of blasting that went on. There was a lot of heavy civil work that went on. But now that we're past that and we're talking about purely things that will not impact the surroundings, we thought it was an appropriate request.
All right, thank you.
No questions.
Mike Tucci?
I think it's a reasonable request. I'm not sure if any holidays fall on the weekend. Would you also continue if it was a holiday on a Saturday?
No, we could most definitely prohibit holidays and work with staff to determine which holidays would apply.
Okay, thank you.
Kyle, would there be any trucks that have any kind of beep backup sounds or any of that?
No, this would be, I mean, we can even, to the extent anything needs to be delivered, it would happen during the week. This would just be vans and trucks to get the subcontractors to the site.
Okay. Commissioners, questions?
You just answered the one I just had.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna, I think I'm the lone survivor of the 402.
I caught a little.
Yeah,
bit.
I think I'm the
Real
lone
tail end.
survivor and it was, I'm just gonna give my opinion now for the commission, but it was very contentious. It was a very long process, as Kyle pointed out. In my opinion, I'm okay being the outlier. There were concessions made for the neighbors in that contentiousness, and I don't feel like backing off on that. So I don't think there's any such thing as no noise construction, whether it's inside or outside. So everybody feel free to vote how you want, but that's kind of where I'm at. Any other thoughts, discussion?
Just that it's hard to, as you say, there's no noise,
Yeah.
but it's also hard to, I guess, try and institute any certain parameters. But I don't know, I'm of two minds.
Yep.
So,
Thoughts?
No, I mean, I personally don't have a problem with that. I mean,
Yep.
finding construction to work Monday through Friday is almost impossible right now. Everybody's working Saturdays and they're getting what they can. And I think if it's interior and it's limiting to small stuff like painting, electrical, and even electrical, you're not going to have that much noise or you're going to hear it through trees and all that. So yeah, I don't think it's an unreasonable request. Not doing landscaping and all that outside.
Could we see how close the neighbors are to the building?
So this is an aerial view, this view, and I'll bring up the map. You're looking, this is roughly yeah, I'm gonna mess up my southwest because Farmington Avenue turns on me, so. So the photograph is taken basically from this corner looking in this direction. So you're seeing this property line and fence line, and you're seeing this property behind. And if I come back to the image, so that's what you're looking at here. The fence line is here for one neighbor. You're picking up just the very edge of a wood fence there,
Mhm.
and the fence wraps over here as well. So there's you're just seeing there's a residential home through there. The other residential home is off the left edge of this photograph. I'll go back to the aerial for you. So it's 52 Prattling Pond. Would you like a dimension or?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. This blast face is roughly where the retaining wall is. The fence line was right on the property line. So from the retaining wall to the nearest corner of the home is roughly 140 feet.
What's it to the building?
Excuse me?
What's it to the building?
Because
There's no.
Yeah. So let me see if I've got a plan that's got the dimensions. So I'm 106 feet from the building to the property line. And in this case, the fence, like I said, the fence was put almost on the property line. So we're now. And from the property line to that house, another 100, so 200 feet ish, to 220.
Yep.
And then to this home, from the property line to the home, I think that's their patio. We'll go to the patio. The nearest livable area is 265, 270-ish.
Yep.
And then, let's see if I got a dimension. roughly 120 feet from the building to the property line in that location. So what did I say, 270, 390 then from the building to the home? Approximately.
What was the proposed completion date originally? Not working Saturdays?
I believe Mr. Richards said there's approximately 10 more months-ish of construction. And we'll take maybe a month or two off the construction by adding the Saturdays in, because you're getting right, that extra day of work in over that time frame.
My thought is Saturdays in the winter for the next 6 months don't matter. Closed windows, closed houses, closed everything. But when it gets warm out and everybody's having backyard barbecues on Saturday afternoon and they're still working and they got the windows open, and it might be an issue. That's why I asked. So if they're still going to be planning on working on Saturdays in the spring and in the summer, that might be an issue.
I believe that's it, because the intent would be that it would carry through.
Yeah.
It's up, it doesn't have to.
I mean, paint obviously is paint, but
Well,
drills, compressors,
Mr.
nail
Chairs.
guns.
Mr. Chair, if you want to entertain further conversation, that's up to you.
Yeah, I was waiting for Mike to.
Sorry, hold on.
Hold on, okay. Come on up. You want to share something else?
Yeah, so as it relates to the summer and the warmer months, we certainly would be willing to stop the construction on Saturdays, pick a date, April. So that is something that we discussed. To the extent it's something that's important to this commission, we're definitely open to it.
That's a good pickup.
Yeah, I like that.
So we could make a say proposal, possibly allowing it now with a cutoff, say April 1st.
Or April 30th, or it really starts getting- Yeah, I don't know if
Right,
April
15th,
1st is
30th,
Tax day.
could be here before.
15th, 30th, you're right. So if April 30th, May 1st, we could do something like that.
I'm okay with that. April 30th.
I like that idea. I think that's a good compromise.
It is. Yep. Good call. Thanks. All right, we want to get a motion in a second?
Do we include that in the motion?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve the application for site plan modification made by 402 Farmington Ave LLC for modification of conditions of approval granted May 24th, 2021 to allow for internal construction activity on Saturdays from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at 402 Farmington Avenue in an SIF zone with a stipulation that this Saturday edition end on April 30th of 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we have 3 applications to accept. The first one is Farmington Motorsports.
I'm just going right in. All right. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the application for special permit and site plan approval for construction of a barn. I'm sorry. I mixed them up. We accept applications for site plan modification for landscaping, buffer, drainage, and parking lot improvements made by Farmington Motorsports at 148 Brickyard Road, Assessor's Lot 3G in the CR zone, and schedule a public hearing with a recommended hearing date of Monday, January 26th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Item number 4, James Panito.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the application for special permit and plan and site plan approval made by James W. Panito for construction of a barn shed in excess of 700 square feet at 35 Mountain Spring Road in an R80 zone, and schedule a public hearing with the recommended hearing date of Monday, January 26th, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. And the final one, number 5, the Metro Realty Management Corporation.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the application for amendment to the regulations made by the Metro Realty Management Corporation to add the Scott Swamp Road Opportunity Zone, SSROZ, change of zone from BR to SSROZ, and site plan approval for construction of a 62-unit multifamily community and associated improvements pursuant to General Statutes Section 8-30G at 20 Scott Swamp Road, and schedule a public hearing with a recommended hearing date of Monday, January 26th, 2026. Text amendment and zone change map are posted to the clerk's office.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. All right, moving on to our public hearings. The first one, William Clark, is going to be continued to the January 26th meeting. So can we get a motion, a second to continue, please?
I'd like to make a motion that we continue the application for a special permit and site plan review made by William Clark for the construction of a 22-foot by 30-foot, 660-square-foot, two-car detached garage with a 355-square-foot loft in accordance with Article 4, Section 30, expanded home at 14 Mountain Road in an R20 zone.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. All right, item number 2, Mark Borghese.
Good evening, Commission. How are you? Although I'd like to take all the credit, it does say Mark Borghese as an application. It's really Borghese Building. I'm representing them. I'm the president of Borghese Building. I'm representing the Nice family, the Barnes Group. They're going to be hopefully building this project. So just wanted to clarify that. You know, I'd love to take all the credit, but that's just I'd get a lot of people yelling at me at work. So I would just like to do a brief kind of history of the project and why we got to this point, or how we got to this point. So I apologize for kind of reading off of a letter, but they were so kindly to write some of the history of the project. So in 2017, this property consisted of a small office building on the front half of 1533 New Britain Avenue property, and the back half was open, basically a level field. The Barnes family had been keeping their eyes open for land in Farmington for their son, Austin, who's also here, for his landscaping business. They all decided to invest together into this property back then in 2017. Austin has mowed lawns all through high school in his local Farmington neighborhood, and he needed to have a permanent home in the town for his business, Barnes Landscaping. Gary and Diane have lived in Farmington for over 38 years and have raised 3-boy family to an adulthood in Farmington. The youngest, Austin, has continued to have deep ties in Farmington, including 15 years of service with Farmington Volunteer Fire Department. When the property came available, it seemed to be a perfect place for Austin to house his company and his equipment. He secured a use permit from the town for a landscaping business, installing a fence to secure the back half of the property, and erected a hoop house for some storage area as his business expanded. In the meantime, the office building interiors were upgraded and the parking lot area has been repaved. New signage and landscaping installed, and invasive vines were removed. The next step in the improvements is to build something more permanent for Barnes Landscaping in the back half of the property, while also giving an opportunity for other local businesses to have inside space for their businesses. We, Borghese, along with Barnes, plan to build a 9,000 square foot, what we're calling a contractor storage building. The building will have 5 separate unit spaces with 1 large unit for Austin's landscaping company. The building will be constructed as a pre-engineered steel building. We will complete all of the required site work and drainage as needed, which is a site plan. One of the questions, which I'm sure there'll be more, was the hours of operation and what's going to be kind of housed in this contractor storage. Right now, we're proposing the hours of operation to be between 7 and 10 p.m., 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. The types of use that they are looking for to go in there is small contractors like a plumber, electrician. I doubt it'll be another landscaper, but something along that lines, small general contractors, stuff like that, to house, 2 vans, maybe have a small office if needed. But basically just have somebody who has a separate office. Maybe they're running their company out of their house and they've upgraded and they want to build, have an office space there. So that for me, I would open it to questions unless, you know, you really want me to get into the details more of the actual site plan and project, but I take questions from you guys.
Peter?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. And would the uses by the tenants be limited to storage, or would any sort of, be it fabrication or any type of work, be permitted on the premises?
I guess the question is, what do you mean by work? Like outside or inside? I wouldn't, you know, if somebody is, you know, an electrician, if they're building, not building lights, housing lights and stuff like that and doing projects inside the building, I would say yes. In terms of outside, not typically. It's not going to be a manufacturing company that's going to use the outside property. Again, they're typically trying to appeal to the people that need some sort of, you know, van storage, something else like that, small office. That's the appeal that they're looking for.
And would so there'd be no storage outside of the building of any materials? It'd all be interior storage?
I can't speak for them, but I would say yes, it would tend to be, we would keep everything inside of the building. I mean, mainly as we proposed in the site plan, it's a parking lot.
Yep. Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
No, I'll hold off for right now. Actually, you know, 1 second. I'm just looking at this now. Have you figured out an area for the snow and snow removal and all that stuff? Is that part of the plan? Do we know what we're doing with all that?
If you want,
we're
I can ask
coming into the
Austin,
season.
he's probably going to be doing all of the work for that, his own property, on how he's going to plow the area. I would leave that up to him. You want to answer that, Austin?
You've got
You have to come up to the podium, please.
Podium.
This is Austin Barnes, by the way.
Sorry, buddy.
So your question is
Uh,
where we're gonna put the snow.
yeah, I'm just worried about like snow runoff and all that stuff. Where do
We always try to plow snow downhill. So right now everything's pitching to the retention ponds. So we're gonna try to plow snow right in front of the building into the space of lawn, right where the mouse is. That way, when it melts off, we don't have ice coming across the parking lot.
Okay. That's a retention pond, okay. And the dumpster area, I'm not seeing any area for a dumpster. Do you have? Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm sorry. This is so small. There you go. Now I can read it. All right. Okay. We're good then. Okay. Yep. Liz?
Yeah, so a question, because I saw there was a reevaluation or reworking of the drainage.
Mhm.
And so that larger retention pond, that's gonna be able to handle all the runoff and all the materials and
Yeah, so very good question. So initially we had different ideas of how we're gonna run the drainage. So we settled on this, and we've been working with an engineer now, and he's working directly with in-house Farmington's engineer. So as of right now, my answer is yes. The calculations, you know, one person engineer has one calculation, another one, but they're working together. And to answer your question, we will make sure that it handles all the drainage.
okay. And this is just a reference, and I think I was reading the things correctly. This is not sewer, it's septic, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and the septic and all that is on the far side of the proposed building, okay.
Correct. And it's a new septic system just particularly for this building.
Okay,
There's an existing septic system there now, which we tested to see if it could handle all of it. It couldn't. We submitted the reports to the town as well. So we're going to provide a whole new septic system.
okay. And there'll be a proposed bathroom in each of the units, correct?
Correct, yes. Except for the last one, which is gonna be Austin space, there'll be one bathroom.
One
So
bathroom.
I think there's a total of 4.
Okay, I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, actually more of a question for Shannon. Can you talk about the housing development at 1600?
Can we talk about it?
What about it?
Can I see can we see another area to do that?
I don't know if this aerial's gonna show it.
No.
Trail side.
I can go to a Google map one. 1600. So it's the, yeah, it's not gonna show on this area.
You can
So
point for me.
the property in question is here. This is 1533 New Britain Avenue. This is FIP's construction building. And then this is the new residential development that's construction at the 10 units on it. I can bring up. So these are the two closest, the two northernmost buildings on the development. And then this is the property
Okay.
in question is here. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's helpful. What kind of traffic are you anticipating for this? And running till 10 at night, right?
In terms of in and out?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it all depends on who rents it, but I mean, typically if you did a small contractor, it'd be 2 vans, you know, they're coming in the morning, they're picking up employees, leaving, coming back at, 3 PM at night. So 2 vans for each tenant space, 6 to 7 cars, possibly up to 12 would be my best guess. Like I said, in and out throughout the day, during normal working hours.
Any deliveries by larger trucks?
I mean, I can't answer that, but I would say no, it would be on the smaller end. Other than, what Austin has for his landscaping business, which is already there now. So,
All right, no other questions. Thanks.
thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, it's all been covered. Thanks.
Mike Tucci, any questions?
Not a question, more of a comment. I think we approved something like this for Brickyard Road not too long ago. I think it's awesome to have more of these workplaces coming into Farmington. So that's my comment.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
So I have a couple questions. So why 10 o'clock? It seems late for businesses like this.
I can't answer for them, but I think what the thing is, we didn't want to limit ourselves to, saying, 6 o'clock and then an electrician that might work, till 8 PM, 10 PM won't rent their space for them. So 10 was a general number. I don't know if Diane wants to speak and she wants to tell you why did you pick 10 o'clock? If she doesn't, if not, then my answer would be just that we didn't want to limit their property to small windows of hours and stuff like that, operation, especially for general contractors and stuff like that. So
Shane, do you remember, I put you on the spot here, but do you remember what hours we agreed to with the other? We've had at least 2 of these, the one up.
Correct. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I'm gonna say that they were limited to
I want to say it's like
5,
7 or 8
5,
o'clock.
6, 7 PM and then allowing, right, if they get a plumber gets an emergency call in the
Right.
evening, then certainly that's a
Right.
one-off, but the regular day in and day out.
Yeah.
Snow removal, right? Okay, fine. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons too, to request that the lights be on motion sensors, so they're not on from dusk to dawn.
Yeah.
Like full power dusk to dawn, there's no reason for it. Put them on motion sensors, so if somebody does have to come in to address an emergency
Yeah.
call, then there's light for that particular instance.
So is that something you'd be amenable to if we said 8 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And But on the provision that what Shannon was talking about,
Yes.
there's emergencies and
course.
stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah,
because
we're talking about regular like operating hours.
some of the guys will be
Yep.
plowing all night. Yes, thank you. And to answer a question, we plan on using motion centers lighting on the whole building. So
The existing buildings on the property are coming down or they're not?
no, there's
Okay.
just one small office building in the front
Yeah.
that's staying.
Oh, okay. So it's going next to it. Okay. I missed
Correct.
the
It's on
original
the back half
conversation.
of the property.
Okay.
The hoop house is coming down.
The hoop house is coming. Yes. The one that wasn't supposed to be there.
Well, the hoop house was approved, but all the gravel that went with it was.
Okay. Makes sense. And there's notes, and maybe this is more for Shannon, about impervious coverage and landscaping
Well, those,
requiring 5-6 votes.
correct, because the impervious coverage is over 40%.
Okay.
And the internal landscaping, they did not do a calculation for us. So I don't believe it's meeting an internal 10%. I think Garrett and I had checked it and it was at 9 or 9.5.
Okay.
So it's close. That's fine. I think it's fine, but it does technically require a 5-6 vote. So in this particular case requires a unanimous vote.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Good.
And of course, the engineering comments. So the engineering
Yep.
comments were
Yep.
issued. They were shared with the applicant. They were sent to the applicant at the time they were completed. And they were shared with all of you.
All right. I think that's all my questions. Anybody else have additional questions? Mike's looking.
I've just one, I mean, right now they're currently running the landscaping company, plow company, all that stuff. Nothing's changing there. So like early morning, backing the plow vehicles out, all of that's already done. That's already approved. Cool. Okay. So nothing there's changing.
They're adding 4 other tenant spaces.
Right.
My thought was, I think we had fielded it 2 months ago or something, when they were talking about backing the trucks in. So if they had to go and plow at 3 a.m, they didn't have to beat to back the trucks out. They could just pull out forward. I was just thinking if we're housing a bunch of plow trucks and we have a building development,
Mhm.
that might be an issue, but
Yep.
you're already running the business out of
Correct. And
what's there is there and it's already approved. That's not what we're approving.
yeah, and the backside of the property is all Connecticut state property that's not used for anything, but
But
yes.
it is still something we could request in the process. We don't have to back off that because it is already there. This is a new building.
I mean, do you have the room to back the trucks in? So when you pull out early in the morning, you're not backing out and it's not, that's,
Yeah, please come up. Yep. Thank you.
So we have the ability to shut our backup alarms off.
oh, you do.
Also,
There, that's all.
I mean, any parking lot you're plowing, whether it's at our lot or you're at Primacy next door, that, whoever the contractor is, quite possibly may not have that ability.
Yeah.
But our trucks do have the ability to shut.
Cool.
So.
And do we do anything to mitigate the impervious coverage exceeding our numbers?
No, so at 40%, it's allowed by right, and from 40 to 50%, it requires a 5-6 vote of the commission.
Okay. But do we worry about that? Do we put other provisions in there?
So the stormwater quality, so addressing engineering comments to the satisfaction of our town staff should address that. So we're looking at the water quality measures. So we've asked for, as part of the engineering comments, have asked for 4 bays to be installed at the detention basin because there were none considered. I believe we asked for water quality, like a vortex type unit, or some other type of treatment prior to just drainage flow, sheet flow into this basin.
Mhm.
So that will help with the water quality improvement that's needed, and that should suffice and offset the additional impervious coverage. That's the standard practice that we are looking for.
And where are we on the engineering comments? Are we,
And it just for reference, I ran it right before you left. We're 40.5%. So we're just right now we're 0.5 over. So
Shannon, the town's ultimately comfortable moving forward with this, given all the information that you have.
Correct. So
Okay.
the engineering comments were noted as no objection to having these as conditions of approval.
Thank you.
So, and as I think I've explained, so when they come back for a building permit, then they'll need to, I'd have these all addressed, and Bruce and I will go through all of these prior to signing off on building permit.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners?
Yes, we're talking about drainage and water quality, and not gonna allow hosing down or washing of trucks or anything like that. Is that?
Yes,
you're
that,
looking to do that?
yeah, that was in the comments and we spoke with the engineer about that. So
Okay.
yes, we
That's-
understand that.
As long as you understand. the part.
Yep.
Okay.
One more check. Yep. All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody, you can grab a seat, Mr.
I
Boogie.
can get out of it.
Yep. You can get out of here. Yeah, thank you. If there's anybody in the room that would like to speak for or in opposition to the application, come on up to the podium. Okay, we want to check online, Shannon?
If anyone's called in online to offer comment on the application for 1533 New Britain Avenue, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom to address the commission. Again, if anyone's called in regarding the application at 1533 New Britain Avenue, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom to address the commission. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay.
I will enter into the record, there was one piece of correspondence received via email from a Karen Farini, the neighboring property in support. She contacted the property owner after the conversation. I'd like to inform you and the board, they support the proposal for the new building. So that's the only written correspondence that we received on this matter.
Thanks, Shannon. Any other questions, commissioners? Any other conditions? I know we talked about limiting the hours to 7 to 8 instead of 7 to 10. Any other? Excuse me, conditions?
Just satisfying all the engineering.
Yeah, okay.
And just for my clarification, I'm pretty sure, but Shannon, if they decide to put up signage for each bay, they're gonna have to come in front of us for a permit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, or change the monument sign.
That's what I,
Correct.
yep.
Are we comfortable closing the public hearing then? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Can we get a motion in a second, please?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application for special permit and site plan review with waivers made by Mark Borghese for the construction of a 9,000 square foot contractor storage building at 1533 New Britain Avenue in a CR zone as presented and discussed.
Second,
Shannon, we don't need to do separate votes for the 2, 5, 6 items if we're doing as
If
presented.
there- No, that's fine if it's as
Okay.
presented and, yes.
Just wanted to double check. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Best of luck. All right, item number 3, Town Plan and Zoning Commission text amendment. Mr. Garrett. Back.
All right. Good evening, everyone. For the record, Garrett Daigle, Assistant Town Planner.
One second, Garrett, and I'll get the.
No problem. So I'll run through. It's a repeat of the presentation that staff's given in the past. We've made changes based on the discussion at the last meeting. So I'll highlight those changes. I've also got some additional sample vehicles that we'll take a look at with the disclaimer that they're all new vehicles because that's what you can easily get spec sheets for. You can find older vehicles, but you got to know exactly what you're looking for. It's better to just show you what's currently available on the market, just so it's easy to pull the numbers. So
Just quickly, Garrett, I want to acknowledge for the record, I did listen to the whole couple hours of discussion last time, just so that's on the record.
Thank you.
Yep, almost forgot.
all right. So first off, summary of the proposed amendments. Thank you.
Sorry, I was making a note.
So the only addition to this is that we revised Article 1, Section 9 definitions to add commercial vehicles, gross vehicle weight rating, and passenger vehicles. So I'll highlight that in a second when we get down there. So we added definition of passenger vehicles. And we also made some changes to the commercial vehicle definition. So commercial vehicle, any definition or equipment regularly used to carry, deliver, handle, or move goods in the conduct of business, commerce, profession, trade, or recreation, and meets any one of the following. So we removed the section about class 2 vehicles, and it just has a 3-tier test. If you meet any of them, you're classified as a commercial vehicle. So the vehicle is not a passenger vehicle based on the definition below, which we'll get to in a second. Vehicle has more than 2 axles, including any transverse sets of wheels, which if you've got a 2-wheel drive car, you technically don't have an axle, a front axle or back axle, depending on where the drive wheels are. So just to cover our bases there. And then the vehicle has a commercial plate. So once you have a commercial plate, your commercial vehicle, regardless of number of wheels, size, anything like that. Gross vehicle weight rating stayed the same. We didn't make any changes there. And then this is a whole new definition for passenger vehicles. So passenger vehicle, any vehicle with motive power, including sedans, pickup trucks, sport utility vehicles, vans, motorcycles, or trailers, designed primarily to carry people and their cargo on highways and streets, which shall not exceed a Federal Highway Administration FHWA Class 3 vehicle, nor exceed a gross vehicle weight rating of 14,000 pounds, and shall meet the following criteria. The vehicle the vehicle has 2 axles, including any transverse sets of wheels. So again, the vehicle may carry up to 8 passengers. The vehicle shall not exceed 7 feet in height from wheelbase to top. Cargo shall not be routinely stored on top or sides. So roof racks, things like that. So if it's the winter, you've got a ski rack on top, we're not going to count that as the height. But if it's something that's permanently mounted that elevates the height of the vehicle, we'll count that. Vehicle should not exceed 8 feet in cargo length as measured at the floor or belt line, whichever is less. I'll get into this with the example vehicles later on. We'll talk about the belt line. Transit vans to support transportation needs of disabled residents at a group home or similar facility, regardless of license plate classification and above criteria. So this is an exception for some of our group homes that are single family homes that might have a transit van that would exceed this criteria. We're just not going to count that as a passenger or commercial vehicle for these purposes. So it'll be exempt. This applies to multiple residents build, but something like New Horizons is completely exempt. So we wouldn't even worry about that. There's no change to this section, which just removes all the reference to the existing commercial vehicle criteria and creates the new section for 8A parking at residential property and separates out the storage containers, dumpsters, trailers, mobile homes, and recreational vehicles. The next slide, again, this hasn't changed. It's removing text from Article 5, Section 8 and moving it to Article 5, Section 8A. Now, in our new section, Article 5, Section 8A, parking on residential properties, the only addition is that in item 3, in the case of a single family home, a turnaround area, circular driveway, or area immediately adjacent to the driveway for no more than 3 vehicles may be placed in the required front yard setback. No vehicles shall be parked or stored on landscape surfaces within the front yard, and no vehicles shall be parked or stored in the required front yard setback on a second driveway with single family home. So we just added the setback criteria to match the earlier sentence. All right. So now the commercial vehicles criteria, again, I'm just gonna be highlighting what changed. So B1A, commercial vehicle not exceeding federal highway weight rating of class 3 vehicle and not exceeding a gross vehicle weight rating of 14,000 pounds may be parked or garage provided it does not exceed 8 feet in height from the base of the wheel to the top, including any cargo, or 10 feet in cargo length as measured at the floor or belt line, whichever is less, excepting mobile homes and recreational vehicles, which shall be governed by Article 4, Section 9. Sorry. And then again, adding under 2A, the axles, including any transverse sets of wheels. All right. And then this last section talks about the number of vehicles that were permitted. So originally we had proposed 1 per 10. We dropped that down, and I'll get to that in the next slide. But we're also removing the requirement, the permission that commercial vehicles can be parked behind the longest rear wall. It now can only be parked on the driveway. So it has to be parked on impervious surface or gravel. So that has been removed. And then the quantity has changed as well. So on the next slide, Instead of the 1 per 10,000, it now reads parcels less than or equal to 15,000 square feet shall be permitted 1 commercial vehicle. Parcels greater than 15,000 square feet shall be permitted 2 commercial vehicles. That's your by right, what you're allowed. The commission may grant a special permit to modify the size, location, or quantity requirements noted above in accordance with Article 4, Section 12, which is the special permit criteria, provided the commission shall not permit a vehicle greater than a FHWA Class 4, shall not exceed a gross vehicle weight rating of 16,000 pounds, and shall not exceed 3 axles, including any transverse sets of wheels. So again, repeating that. And then the last section is just removing a section on the parking, which we talked about earlier from the landscape regulation to this new parking in residential. So I've got some examples of different classifications of vehicles and what kind of falls under those. So under the Class 1, minivan, utility van, multi-purpose mini pickups, the utility van will be based on cargo length. Class 2, minivan, utility van, pickups, again, based on the cargo length. Minibus and step van, which may be classified as a Class 2, would exceed your permitted height and passenger amount, so it would not be permitted by right. Same thing going up to the Class 3, the minibus walk-in city delivery. The height and cargo length and passenger capacity would exceed those limits and would not be permitted. And then just some additional vans, city deliveries, buckets, all would exceed what's allowed by the regulation. Again, it does allow you to go up to a Class 4 by special permit, but it's public hearing, review with the commission, neighbors are notified, goes through that whole criteria. All right. So I did pull some passenger vehicles. These are all SUVs because those are kind of the largest vehicles available outside of a pickup truck. So we've got the Jeep Grand Wagoneer. It has a height of 75.6 inches and a seating capacity of 7. Cadillac Escalade, height of 76.4 inches, seating capacity of 8. Lincoln, height of 78, seating capacity of 7. Again, your maximum height is 7 feet, which is 84 inches. So they would all be classified as passenger vehicles, even though their towing capacity and gross vehicle weight is more aligned with the Class 2. So these would still be considered passengers, and we wouldn't worry about that with the commercial vehicle rating. And they all have less than 8 people seating capacity. GMC and a Ford, again, GMC 76.5 inches, the Ford Expedition 78.1 inches, 8-person seating capacity, again, meets that passenger vehicle criteria. And then just what would and wouldn't. So Chevy Suburban, maximum height 76.1 inches, 8-person seating capacity, compared to the Chevrolet Express van, which is a passenger van where you've got a height of 84.5 inches, a cargo length of 126.2 inches. So if the seats are removed, that's what your cargo length is. That exceeds the 8-foot permitted, which is 96 inches, and then a seating capacity of 12 to 15 people, which again exceeds that 8 limit. So that would not be permitted as a passenger vehicle. And then I do have some examples of commercial vehicles. Again, these are new because that's what's easy to pull information for examples. So this is a selection of the Ram ProMaster cargo vans. So you've got the low roof with an 118-inch wheelbase. It has a height of 91.7 inches and a cargo length of 105.1 inches. Again, your maximum height is 8 feet, 96 inches, cargo length 10 feet, 120 inches. So that first one would meet it. The second one is 136-inch wheelbase, again with the low roof. So the height is a little higher at 93 inches, but still matches that 96 inches. And the cargo length at the floor is 122.8 inches. That exceeds what is permitted. However, if the length at the belt line, which is essentially the bottom of the window, you can kind of see the line that goes along here. That's about what's considered the belt line. And we did look at examples, and it's in the Merriam Dictionary as a definition of being at below the window line. So you have to think there's some space under your seat that you can slide some plywood, something like that. But really your belt line was probably about where the seat sits, the actual seat that you're sitting in, and that ends up being shorter. So in terms of loading something like plywood, that'll definitely fit, but in terms of fitting out your vehicle to store tools, that length ends up being smaller. So again, this one would be dependent on the belt line length. And then the high roof van with 136 wheelbase exceeds what's permitted at 103 inches 0.6 inches high and 122.8 inches in cargo length, because your height now goes over that 96 inches. Some cargo vans. So I've got a Chevy Express cargo van, which is similar to the passenger one we had above. 84.75 inches height, so it's lower, but your cargo length at floor is 126.75. They did not have the belt line length available, so that would be the determining factor whether this would be permitted by right or might require a special permit. And then this is what Shannon presented for the Ford Transit van at the last meeting. I just included it in this presentation. So this is the Ford Transit van. It doesn't show all the roof heights, obviously, but the low roof regular length would meet the height at 82.2 inches, 126-inch cargo length, but the cargo length, the belt line is 115.9, which again is less than the 120. However, the higher roofs and longer models would all exceed what's permitted, even measured at the belt line. Let's see which way I'm going. Now, you can also get chassis cab versions of all these vehicles. So it's just the cab and then the frame rails. So this would be like a contractor that gets a toolbox installed on the back. That would be dependent on what the fit out is, whether it be considered a commercial vehicle or not. So they all meet the height. They don't exceed 96 inches. They don't give you the length because the frame rail lengths can be shorter, because depending on the cargo box or if you have a step in or something like that, that might overhang. So that would affect how long your cargo length is. So it'd be a case by case basis of making sure that it's less than 8 feet and less than 10 inches. I'm sorry, less than 8 feet tall and less than 10 feet in cargo length. And then I just have something to show what is definitely not permitted by the regulation. So these are Isuzu, these are class 3 vehicles. However, their height exceeds, their cargo length exceeds the maximum permitted of 120 inches. So the height meets it, but the length is definitely way over. They're 129 and 131. There's really no way to measure that at the belt line, because that's how long it is from the back of the cab to the back of the frame rails. And that's more of like a base for like a box truck, is that they'd use that, and then box or landscaper, they put the kind of flatbeds on the back now with the rails. So they use those. So again, that would exceed what's the limit allowed, because it's over that 120 inches. Any questions?
I actually have a question, and this is more, I think, some people in reading the issues about the driveway and the front yard setback. I think some people, not being as familiar with the term setback and things, thought, oh, my neighbor's gonna turn their front yard into a parking lot. Could you maybe go over that, review that for the public as to what that truly means?
Make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay. So this, what you're referring to is Article 4, Section 8A, A.3. So this whole section, the general requirements, deals with the driveways. It deals with the pitch, the maximum width permitted. And then item 3 has to deal with the number of vehicles and where they can be placed. So your driveway is permitted to be between 12 and 24 feet in the front yard setback. Depends on the zone. In general terms, we'll say it's going to be 40 feet, just because that's a fairly common front yard setback in our zoning regulations. The smaller zones have shorter setbacks. The larger zones have larger setbacks. In that front yard setback, a portion of your front yard is lawn. So your driveway is limited to 24 feet wide. The rest of it is lawn. You cannot park a vehicle in your front yard. It has to be on the driveway. Anything not parked on the driveway has to be either behind the home, so behind our longest rear wall, or it's behind that front yard setback of 40 feet, which keeps it distant from the road. Again, in a lot of our neighborhoods, the homes are built at or near the setbacks. It's really extenuating circumstances that homes are built far beyond the setback that it'd be a concern.
Okay, I hope that clarifies things.
Can I add to that? That's in the regulation now.
Yes.
Right.
All we did, we moved it so that all of this parking information was in one spot. This particular wording had been in Article 4, Section 13 in the landscape regulation. Other than what we just did to add the word setback in so that it was clear, because we went through, there's the front yard setback and then there's front yard. So front yard setback is to your building line, as Garrett just explained. Your front yard is everything from the street line to your front face of your house. So we didn't change anything. We just moved it so that it was organized better.
I appreciate the organization. I think that's great. I was asking for an explanation for the general public who I think some people saw one word or one phrase and didn't know the whole genesis. So it was more of a point of clarification, which is, I appreciate it.
Certainly. Thank you.
Understanding. So that, I think that's helpful. And I think putting that in all the parking in one area is a good idea. Thank you.
You have anything?
I don't have any questions.
Smart.
You went rogue. You went totally.
I did. I go, Garrett invited me.
This took my question. No questions. Thank you.
No, honestly, I think everything we asked last time was addressed.
Mike Tucci, any questions?
No questions. I just say thank you to the planning staff. You guys have worked really hard on this. Watching from Zoom since I haven't been able to be there for a while. It's been through a lot of iterations. Thank you so much. I think you nailed everything.
Thanks, Mike. I remember from listening to the recording, this I'm going to prove I listened to the recording, there was talk about percentages. I'm going to give you a chance to show off your percentages on the 15, on the size of the lots. So 15,000 smaller and larger, I mean, it's roughly, I don't remember. I listened to it, but I don't remember.
Yes, it's up. Shannon has it pulled up, so she pulls it up.
Perfect.
Well done.
So where am I looking here? All right.
So the 15 is the bottom chart. So lots greater than 15,
About a quarter.
15,000 that are in residential zones with
Yeah.
single family homes on them. 24% of our residentially zoned lots are 15,000 or greater. So 76 then will be greater than 15,000. So 24% of the lots will allow one commercial vehicle by right based on this definition. 76% of the lots. I'm doing that math right? 76% of the lots will allow 2 commercial vehicles by right.
Actually.
Yeah.
76 or
76.
76,
24%.
66 if I went to 30,000 and then 83% at 45,000 if we were going to step it. And we opted not to, right, based on the conversation at the last meeting, we didn't, what we heard was we want just one break. We don't want multiple breaks. So we went just with the 15. So
Yep.
this math here, Dave, that you're seeing is if 30,000 square feet and 45,000 square foot lots, which we didn't do. So we've got just the one break point.
And people can get a special permit if they want.
Correct.
Or any kind of exception.
So that's, we broke out,
Size, location, number.
Garrett broke this out. I gotta get back to the right slide here. Here we go. Bless you.
Plus,
Broke out how this was worded and put it in a separate section for the special permit to allow size, location, and quantity requirements that basically any of the parameters above, the commission has the right to review and grant additional or a larger size, but we also thought it was prudent to not have carte blanche on the size. So it's just a one step up. So that's where that caveat is. So we all, right, today understand what the intent was. 5-10 years from now,
Mhm.
we thought it was just make sure. And that obviously our ability to have this all documented is a lot different than it was back from the 1987 version that I was. So.
And this is all gonna fit on one page like you promised?
Ooh,
No.
That's a
No,
bad
but
callback.
But
That's
the
a bad
final
callback.
version printed out and it's multiple this is multiple sections. But the final version without everything was just over 3 pages. So considering what we tackled, I'm gonna call it not bad. But no, it is not 1 paragraph.
Commissioners, any other questions? Sir?
Just kind of a curiosity thing. I think it's great. Do we have any teeth into it? Like, what are the fines or what are the ramifications if they don't?
Sure.
follow
Well,
the
it's no
rules?
different than any of our other zoning, right? So for our zoning violations, it's the same process. We issue, typically we issue a voluntary compliance letter saying this matter has been brought to our attention. This is what the regulation is. Will you please bring your property into compliance or give us a call? We're happy to discuss it with you, et cetera. If we're ignored or someone chooses not to comply, then we will issue a notice of violation, which gives a set time frame and notices them that if they do not adhere within the set time frame, then fines will start. And there's codes. This then links to the town ordinance. So the town ordinance has everything with how we are supposed to pursue zoning violations and the fines that were allowed. And
So
then
we don't
actually
have to-
Connecticut general statute sets the fine limits for us. So
Okay, so we don't have to actually specify it because it reverts. back
no,
to-
because it's an automatic. It's all addressed in the town ordinance.
You
Perfect.
would actually be providing an enforceable regulation as opposed to what
Correct.
Shannon and staff are having to work with now.
That's fine with me. I'm good. I was curious about
Yep.
how the whole
No, it's a good question.
worked.
One more check. All right, this is a public hearing. If there's anybody in the room that would like to, thanks, Gary. Come up to the podium, speak for and opposition.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. Josh Davidson, 74 Basswood Road. I want to start thanking everyone and the staff in particular, as well as the commissioners for providing all the feedback and all the work that's gone into this regulation, including the December 2nd draft that we're talking about today, and specifically praise 2 major improvements to the text. One, parking locations. Really appreciate the restrictions to garage or driveway. I think that solves some problems. The dimensional limits, I think making them smaller is in the right direction as well. However, I want to ensure that this new regulation solves the right problems, and I think there may be some issues, unfortunately. So the stated goal, as I understand it, of this process was to clarify rules to ensure that personal vehicles, personal pickup trucks and SUVs, for example, aren't classified as commercial, because under the current regulation, if they get a combination or commercial plate, then they're considered commercial, and there's limit of 1 per residential property today. And that was some of the impetus for this discussion, right? And so we need a rule that makes it easy to allow those personal trucks, but also stop sort of excessive business use of residential parcels. So I think there's 5 specific enforcement gaps that I see with the current draft. So one, and maybe I've missed the right versions of this or not, so Shannon, keep me honest, please, but the trailer loophole. So I believe in the definition of passenger vehicles on page 1, the definition includes trailers as a passenger vehicle, which is a little confusing because I think they're regulated as separately in separate sections. And it also says that it defines it as vehicles with motive power, including several things, including a trailer. I'm not clear how a trailer can have motive power. Maybe it can, but I don't understand that. So I'm just calling that out as something to, I guess, explore. And then if that does include sort of trailers, as I would think of them like a utility trailer, a boat trailer, then we're actually allowing an unlimited number of trailers by that definition, which I don't think was anyone's intent.
No, you're right. That word can be removed.
Okay.
So it's easy to strike as part of, if the commission chooses to move, then it
Sure.
would be strike
Great.
word.
Thank you. The second one, the 8 passenger rule. So I believe there are several popular models, including several Chevy Suburban, GMC Yukons that are frequently sold with 9-passenger configurations where they have a front bench seat. And I don't think, again, that the purpose of this is to restrict those types of vehicles. So I think that we should consider maybe raise it to 9, unless there's a reason 8 specifically should be there. Because again, if it's an SUV with 9, seems reasonable. And then in the definition of commercial vehicle, I'm concerned about the definition where it describes the usage of the vehicle in the definition. And in terms of the enforceability, and I know that was some of the impetus for this was to make this easy to enforce. As I read that, right, regularly used to carry, deliver, handle, or move goods in the conduct of business, commerce, profession, trade, or recreation. So I think from an enforcement perspective, if I were, well, I guess flip it on the other side. If I were a resident, an enforcement officer came to me and said, you have a commercial vehicle, and say, oh, I don't use it to conduct business. I don't use it to do any of those things. You're now putting the zoning enforcement officer in the position of having to prove that that vehicle is, quote, regularly used to do those things. The only way to feasibly do that would be to actually have surveillance on that person off-site, outside of the property in question, to then somehow prove that they are regularly using it for those purposes. It seems unnecessary, frankly. I think you probably just strike that whole usage, because as this definition has evolved, I'm not sure that it adds anything. And given that the personal vehicle or passenger vehicle, sorry, definition, the working of the two things together, I'm not sure that it adds anything. And I am concerned that it will make it essentially unenforceable. The commercial plate issue. So commercial plate is still one of the things that will trigger. So any vehicle that has a commercial plate is a commercial vehicle, if I understand correctly, even if it's defined as a passenger vehicle otherwise.
Correct.
But again, that seems to counteract the purpose of the large pickup truck, no?
No, because if it's got a commercial plate and it's in one of those categories, then it is being used for commercial purposes. It is being used for business purpose. And so that was the whole point. So if you have a truck that's hitting that category, but it's being used for personal.
So you can't have a personal pickup truck or SUV that's required to have a commercial plate, you're saying?
It'd be a combo plate.
Correct. It can be a combo plate.
Okay, combo, not commercial.
Right.
Okay.
So the combo plate's fine. That's why we took the combo
Okay.
out. But
All
the
right, then I
commercial,
withdraw
if it's being used
objection.
for
That makes
commercial
sense.
purposes, then
Okay.
it's gonna have that commercial plate and it's kicking you automatically into commercial vehicle.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, again, I might be confused here, but it seems like there's a conflict in the dimensions, and maybe this is just a version control issue, but in the definition of passenger vehicles, limited to 7 feet tall and 8 feet tall.
Not 7 feet tall and.
I'm sorry, 8
foot
feet long
cargo.
and 8 feet long, right?
Yep.
But then I thought in the later section, sorry, I lost, it's like 8A-B or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that one. So
it's 8 feet in height. So what we found, is it okay if I jump in?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So passenger vehicle is 7 feet in height, 8-foot box length. Commercial vehicle, 8-foot height, jumps it up 1 foot and 2 more feet in cargo length. 10-foot box. So what we found is even though those seem very minor changes, the style of vehicle changes notably, as we showed in that. So they're basically, we're allowing the same vehicles, right? So the class 3 and the 14,000 pounds, same vehicles, so that we could get the trucks in that are being used for personal purposes. But those height and length thresholds, then up to 7 feet in height for passenger and 8-foot box length for passenger, keeps it a more petite van. And once you jump to 8-foot or 10-foot, 8-foot height and 10-foot box, it's definitely more of a utility van. Now, you can, as Garrett did here, sorry, here. Garrett, where's the one? One of these sorry. There are utility vans, smaller petite utility vans. That's what we missed. There are small more petite utility vans that'll hit that passenger threshold. So if somebody's got like truly a small painting business out of their home,
If it's a home office,
it may fall as a passenger vehicle because it hasn't exceeded the 7 feet in height and 8 foot in cargo.
So I guess what my question is, shouldn't those definitions be the same? Like, shouldn't it be 7 and 10? And like, because so what happens if it's 7.5 feet or?
Once it's over
9 feet
7 feet,
long?
so once it's
I
seven,
miss it. I miss. Right.
no, so once it's over 7 feet, then you're commercial. It shall not exceed. It's a shall not, in both cases, it's a shall not exceed.
Oh, so it's so it's saying you are commercial and you're subject to the 1 or 2 limit.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep.
That was my misunderstanding.
No, that's okay.
I appreciate it.
It took a little, trust me, we have,
The detail on this is.
I tinkered, I had to let this sit in the back of my head for
Yeah.
like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then it was like, okay, then it was an all hands on deck and let's get this done. And it took a lot.
So thank you for allowing
okay.
me that.
No problem.
courtesy. I appreciate it. The other, I think maybe my last point here is, it seems like there could be a visual standard that we address in some of these things. I guess in particular for the pickup truck and being able to differentiate a pickup truck from sort of a modified pickup truck. So as Garrett showed, right, that's where some of the contractor or commercial vehicles get into this issue where you have a pickup body, but then you've done something to it. And I'm not sure if there is a legal definition of pickup that I missed of a pickup truck. And I wonder if we should have one, which I would propose one that's visual. It doesn't require you to measure anything. It requires you to, you can stand at the sidewalk or at the street and you can look at the vehicle and you can determine, yep, that's a pickup truck. It's not something else. It's not a landscape truck, a flatbed, a dump truck, something. So it would be this basically, a standard pickup truck, which would exempt it from the commercial limits. So anything that meets these limits would not be a commercial vehicle. So it's a motor vehicle with a rear cargo area or bed that meets all of the following visual criteria. Enclosure, the cargo bed is fully enclosed by fixed sidewalls and a tailgate. Integrated design, the cargo bed is designed to match the body styling, contour, trim, and paint color of the cab. And width, the cargo bed does not exceed the width of the cab, except for factory style fender flares is specifically designed to cover dual rear wheels. And so by defining that as very clearly that's a pickup truck, then you're excluding all of those other sort of modifications like a landscape truck, a dump truck, flatbed. So that's a suggestion to consider. And that really, I think, clarifies and allows all these personal trucks and SUVs by right, and then allows the commercial vehicles to be limited. And the last thing I'll say is, for decades, we've had a limit of 1 commercial vehicle. We're changing the definition of commercial vehicles here. We're proposing to do that. I still don't see an example. I don't believe we heard a single example where anyone was being restricted from having more than 1. I would propose keep it at 1, and there can be the special permit process for 2, or there could be, even if we don't want to do a special permit, I believe you could make it so it's just like a zoning enforcement officer sort of application where you guys would review, the planning office would review it and it wouldn't come to the commission, but it gives some sort of review to ensure that people understand, hey, you can have a second one, but hey, what is it used for? It's not for an employee, right? Who's working out of your home. And like, those are the issues where we've got people who are running businesses out of their homes. So thank you very much for listening and for engaging in the dialogue. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room?
Hi, my name is Arlene Klein. I live at 43 Cope Farms Road. I just want to clarify one thing that Josh said. I agree with him that a Chevy Suburban can hold up to 9 people, but there's also a Kia Carnival that can hold 11, and there's a Ford Transit that can hold 12. I think it's a little disingenuous to say how many passengers can be in an SUV that somebody chooses to buy. That's just one, because it's a personal automobile. And then I just have a question, because my understanding is that once these regulations are written and then you, somebody violates them, you go to the general statutes and then there's fines or some kind of penalties that are involved. So my question is after you write all of this up, does it get looked over by a lawyer? Because I believe in the end, it's the lawyers that would get involved in whether or not they have to enforce these regulations. So just wondered if lawyers look at this before you approve it, or you approve it and then lawyers look at it, or do they look at it at all? That's just my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want me to answer that?
I was
Take more
looking
time?
at you, but you can answer it now, or we can, whatever's easier.
So specifically, has Bob DiCrescenzo looked at this regulation? No. Bob DiCrescenzo knows we've been working on it.
Yep.
We have modeled it on other community regulations and parameters. And some of them are other communities that Bob suggested we look at as we embarked on this. So, and technically, unless we end up in court, Bob isn't going to necessarily get involved. He'll advise on a couple of things on an as needed basis, but no. So that's the answer.
Anyone else in the room?
Matthew Pugson, 270 Brickyard Road. I have watched this again for the last 6 months going on. It's been strenuous for a lot of different reasons. I own several antique vehicles, and my neighbor doesn't like looking at them. It's not that they're used commercially. It's not that they are started up at random hours of the evening or used on a commercial basis. It's just that literally my neighbor doesn't want to look at them. Tonight, looking at 402 Farmington Avenue, I'm thinking about how far away that house was and how this commission was like, well, you know, it's 200 feet away. They might hear something on a Saturday. We're talking about a truck that's in my yard that's over 200 feet away from my neighbor who's complaining about having to look at it. And it's not like it's a offensive truck. The one that specifically is a 67 International pickup truck. Has a flatbed on it, which I guess is offensive to some people. But the reality is that we're talking about something, it's not a 3-story building being built in a backyard, something to that a gracious nature. It's a pickup truck. It's painted red, International red. It's not like it's rusted out. It's not like it's in disrepair. It's just a vehicle that I like. I like to look at it. I like to drive it around occasionally. It's just a hobby. But it's been turned into this whole charade about commercial vehicles. And I know that that's not the premise of what started this regulation change. And I think that originally the intent was to, upgrade it, not to update it rather, and bring it up to snuff to newer terms and whatnot. I find it, ironic to some degree. I don't know how it's going to be looked at. A 67. I also have a 71 International truck. I don't know how those will be rated just yet because, frankly, they're not on a new, you can't just look them up on the Ford dealership to figure it out. So I don't know where all that will end up for me personally. But what I will say is that I'm happy that they were able to find a way to bring the Class 3 vehicles in because, honestly, a lot of people here in town have F-350s, have 3500 series trucks that are no larger than a 250. And finding a way to work to make that work so that those vehicles are not excluded just because of a class that they've fallen into, I do certainly appreciate that. I'm a little, I don't know what the right word is about the parking behind the rear wall. I'm confused because RVs will get parked behind the rear wall. Trailers can be parked behind the rear wall of a home, but the commercial vehicles are going to be required to be parked out in front, which, I remember from a while ago, Mr. Canto said, I have an investment property that I bought down by the shore and it had 5 pickup trucks out in the front and I didn't like looking at that. That was from some meeting during the summer. And it said that that was something that you don't recall that. There are 4 pickup trucks that were parked out in front of this
I don't
property.
have an investment property down by the shore. I wish I did.
We can go back
wish
to
I
the
did.
meeting minutes, but I do recall it was some sort of property that had 4 vehicles out in front, and it was these Fords. They were restored, but they were out in front. And regardless, the point was some people don't want to look at necessarily a bunch of vehicles in the front. That was my point. I wasn't trying to specifically say anything, but if you have a person who is not looking to look at those vehicles, now they are going to be moved out in front. So let's just say, for example, you only have a parking spot out on the driveway. This was my point. I apologize if it offended you. But if you have a passenger vehicle and you have a commercial vehicle, you're going to put your commercial vehicle out in front. Now you're going to move your passenger vehicle out and back. So you're really just playing, swapping them around. So now you're forcing people to possibly have that commercial vehicle out in front versus out and back. I did want to clarify with town staff that a driveway isn't necessarily out in front of a home, correct? You can have a driveway that wraps around to the back of the home.
Correct.
Okay. So if you have a driveway that wraps around, a vehicle may be parked behind a home as long as it's parked on the driveway behind the home. Okay.
Correct. I think
So-
we had touched on that at the last meeting and discussed, it happens perhaps more frequently, not limited to Unionville Center and Farmington Center where the garage is detached and the garage is positioned behind the home and the driveway inherently goes to the garage.
Correct.
Behind the
Gotcha.
home. So, yes.
Okay. So as long as it's clear that if you have a driveway behind the home, you can still put a commercial vehicle back on that driveway, then I think that that's reasonable. I don't want to see Farmington start having anybody who has a commercial vehicle being forced to park that out in front versus being able to have it behind a line, because frankly, that's why the RVs and the trailers are being parked back there. So it doesn't really make sense to me. As Shannon and I have had to discuss several times too, I have a really unique property. I have a 2-acre lot that's surrounded by homes that have been built over the years. My property's been there for probably 200 years in the configuration that it's in. And I have a house, the house is in the back. My backyard backs up to their backyard. But I also have a house where their backyard looks into my front yard. So technically, their backyard now looks at my front yard. And it's just the configuration because they put a side road down there. But I know what the commission's trying to address, but I do know also that it's unavoidable. And to Liz's point last time, hopefully you remember this one, but you had said there's always that kid who's always going to say, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I have the property and I have the vehicles to constantly ask, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what's going to happen if this? And I know it gets annoying. And I've annoyed Shannon to no end asking those questions. But the reality is that I have this weird property and it does that. It has that what if on every corner. So I'm happy and I'm glad that we've been able to address most of those issues. I'm still relatively in support of it, although I do feel as if I do think that the vehicle should be allowed to be parked behind the rear wall. I think there could be some sort of screening required, or in my case, my vehicle's 200 feet or maybe 150 feet away from the property line. But the reality is my neighbor is up on a hill. So it doesn't matter how far away I move my vehicle. It could be 300 feet away. It could still be seen. If I live up on the mountain and I'm looking down, I can see everybody. So there's no distance that's ever going to work for those people. Last thing I would like to say, if I can, I just noticed while I was sitting here that in the commercial definition, could you scroll up to that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
In this part, Matt, or in the first part of the definition?
I think it was the first part.
Okay.
Because it said any vehicle or equipment.
Mhm.
What does that mean? Equipment. Because we had discussed many times over that you were not addressing equipment.
Correct. I don't know if that was in the original.
I hadn't remembered seeing it, and seeing it tonight
Yeah, no, it was in the original version. And again, I think it has part of it's pulling from other regulations and other definitions.
Okay.
I don't think.
Because a lot of this, as you probably all heard too, spurred because I own a backhoe. And my neighbor didn't want to look at the backhoe either. I asked him, what about the backhoe offends you? Is it the fact that it's loud? No. Is it the fact that it smells? No. I don't want to look at it. That's what I was told. So I said, listen, if I move the backhoe to somewhere where you can't see the backhoe on my property, will you just not talk about equipment anymore? Can we just wash that off and call it a day? Said, yeah, we could do that. So I said, okay. And I dug a corner and I parked the backhoe in a way that you can't see it at all. I reached out this wall and I said, can you see that backhoe? Nope, can't see the backhoe. I can still see your truck though. Okay. Next thing I know, equipment is back on the table. We should be talking about people shouldn't have equipment. They shouldn't have equipment on their property. So then then we're back here. If we strike equipment off of that, I think that's necessary. I think there's a lot of people in town who have different size equipment that they use to maintain their property. Not everybody lives on a 1/4 acre lot. Nothing wrong with living on a 1/4 acre lot or 1/2 acre lot, but you need equipment to move snow. So I use my own plow. I plow my own driveway. I need the equipment to be able to move rocks, pull stumps, make the area where I made my kids' playscape. So people need equipment. I think that covers pretty much everything. I mean, I've had a lot that I wanted to say. I've held back a lot, listening to a lot of stuff said about me or my property over the last course of the last few meetings. And it's very hurtful and it's been very difficult for me. And frankly, I've just felt like I've been attacked for the last few months. So I'd really like to wrap this up tonight if we can and just be done with it, because it's been an emotional roller coaster for me and I just would like to be done. So I think a good compromise is where neither parties walk away happy. You know, there's always something that needs to be improved upon. So I hope that the commission can vote on this tonight and we can just call this a day. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the time.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Jen, you check online?
I will check online and then I do have written correspondence as well. So don't let
Yes.
me forget that, please.
Yep.
But online first, if you have called in and would like to offer comment to the commission regarding the commercial vehicle regulation, please raise your hand. Lisa, if you would, you should be able to unmute your microphone. If you could give us your full name and address and address the commission, please.
Hi, Shannon. Yes, it's Lisa Troy, Tall Timbers Drive in Farmington. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we sure can. Go right ahead.
Okay. So, you know, I'm in support of everything Josh has said. I believe you should be limited the commercial vehicles to just one. And something I think you need to consider, I know one of the criteria is the lot size, but you can have a large lot in a very small driveway. And we have that in our street. So unfortunately, commercial vehicles are often parked in the road. So again, the other thing is it does affect property values. Seeing multiple commercial vehicles parked in residential neighborhoods. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, if anyone else has called in to offer comment regarding the commercial vehicle regulation, please raise your hand. Using the feature in Zoom, you'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Mr. Chair, there's no other hands raised at the moment, so I will, I'll go to our written correspondence if that's okay.
Please.
Okay. There you go. PC, public comment. I tried to code all these things. Okay, So we have a letter of opposition from Susan Chudwick at 9 Tall Timbers, writing to express concern regarding the regulation. These were emailed to the commission out of the meeting, and they've also been posted online. I realize they came in today. I can read it into the record if you'd like, or if the viewing on the screen is sufficient, that's fine. I see some people, so you want me to read them? I can read them.
I
Yes.
don't know that you need to read it, Jen.
No. Okay, so it's here. This one's on, like I said, opposition to the regulation. The next one came in December 2nd from Carol Gill in opposition to regulation for allowing class 2 and 3 vehicles parked in a residential neighborhood. And the final one is from Lisa Troy, who just spoke. And again, in opposition to commercial vehicles in a residential neighborhood, and notes property value and cites a section of the regulation to encourage appropriate land use throughout the town, conserving property values. Okay, so each of these have been entered formally into the record, and obviously they're part of the recording this evening as well. And that is all the written correspondence that we've received leading into this meeting tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I can address questions, or we can go back through the commission to see if there's further thoughts or comments.
Yeah, I think we can do both those things through the commission. Any questions lingering now or thoughts based on conversation tonight? Start with you, Peter.
Yeah, just a few things that came up in the public comment. I had the same thought about the 9-passenger configurations. Those are becoming a little bit more common again. So we might want to think of tweaking that. I'm also not sure. I thought Mr. Davidson raised a good point that should be discussed regarding the usage requirement in the commercial vehicle definition. I'm not sure how helpful it is, and whether it creates a complexity that we don't need. But in any event, I think the usage definition, I don't know how I feel about the inclusion of the term recreation in there. Seems to kind of not be consistent with the commercial use. And I think the most important point that I continue to wrestle with is whether we should just have a one vehicle limit and require them to come in for a permit for anything else. I was a little bit more amenable to the idea of 2 when the definition of commercial was a little bit broader, but now that's been narrowed a little bit, and not as much of the passenger vehicle usage will get caught up in it. I think it might be better to just keep it at 1 vehicle limit. That's sort of my thought on it. Those are the only comments I had.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, to agree with Peter, I think the definition, I'm not crazy about the recreational. And really, I mean, we can take that whole section out because that it grays the area of what's considered regularly used. You know what I mean? And that's going to put some tension in the air, I think. Agreed with the 9-passenger. That's, I don't have a problem with that either. The 1 vehicle per house, I'm okay with the 2. We had a perfect example this evening. You have the son and the father that live home. He's got a landscaping business. He probably lives with his parents still. So he's got one. If dad happens to have a commercial plate on his car too, now you've got 2 people with 2 commercial plates in the driveway. So we don't want to hinder him, even though he's doing nothing wrong per se. You know what I mean? So I don't have a problem with the 2. As far as the definition of the pickup, I don't like that idea either. We've already talked about that in the past about, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Mr. Pogson brought up a great, example, you know, you have an old 1962 International with a wooden flatbed because that's the way they came out of the factory. That's not going to fit the definition, even though he thinks it's a beautiful vehicle. I appreciate old vehicles. Not that I drive one every day, but I can appreciate the beauty behind it. And now it's going to fall into, it doesn't fit the definition of a pickup. So I have a hard time defining a pickup, you know, and then we have these kids and people that, I'm not even going to say kids, just people that enjoy modifying their vehicles. So what becomes, you know, that area of, well, that doesn't fit. That's not right. You know, you can't do that. And then if they put a cap on it, it changes the look of it. So are we changing what looks nice? You know what I mean? So I have a little bit of a problem with that. Other than that, I think we did a lot of work on it. I think it's a great, they did an excellent job tweaking it and all that. And for the record, Mr. Pogson, I'm not offended at all. I wish I had the money to have a shore house property. So not a problem at all. Nadine better have some explaining to do.
I again commend the whole department. Thank you for really, really a lot of serious hard work. My one comment, I noticed the word recreation. The only thing I can think of is having occasionally done on vacation a kayak trip or on, you know, a fishing trip or something. I don't know if that's the genesis or the reason for the recreation. You know, maybe it's someone who has, you know, four kayaks and they run kayak trips. That's the only reason I could come up with for recreation that's possible. I guess I appreciate a good definition out there. And I see the place, and so I guess I'm not as upset about, I think any vehicle regularly used to carry, deliver, handle, or move goods in the conduct of business, commerce, profession, or trade is fine. If we want to get rid of the word recreation, I don't necessarily have a huge problem with that. But I do agree with Commissioner Canto in terms of, yeah, people having an adult child living at home. If he had a commercial vehicle and we had one too, all of a sudden, wow, our little lot would be, it could change things. And with the style of cars and or trucks, I should say, in general, I think having two is a good limit. So that's my feeling.
Yeah, I also agree with having a definition there of what a commercial vehicle is, not just jumping right into it. It's not a passenger vehicle, has more than 2 axles. I'd like to get rid of recreation just because I'm unsure of why we do have that one there. I think I would still want to go with the graduated 1 and 2 vehicles. And then, but I just don't want to make it onerous for somebody to have to come in, have a lot of people come in and have to process a lot of special permits. You know, we're trying to be mindful of business owners as well as mindful of residents of town. And it's hard to straddle that. I think this does a really good job of that. And I appreciate the work also. Thank you.
Mike?
No, I think it addressed everything that we had talked about. I think it's, you know, are we able to, I know you had emailed and said, you know, if we don't put this to rest tonight, then, you know, it needs to be tabled or whatever. Are we able to take 1 or 2 words out of this?
Of course.
And vote on it tonight?
It can be, so no different than any other application. It can be approved as modified. Absolutely, it can.
And I think it leaves the option for people to come and, you know, request to have, you know, hey, I have a son living at home, just got a job at Avon Plumbing and they need to bring the truck home. Okay, get a special permit. I have 7 kids and I need a 12-passenger van to transport my family. Okay, come ahead and get it. But that's very rare, you know. So I think the definitions are good. I agree, take out the word recreation. Because I think I was the one that brought it up last time that said basically that definition, including recreation, would be any vehicle used for anything. Because if we're not using it for work, we're using it for recreation. So, and then a couple of points that were brought up. I mean, if we can take a couple of the words out and a couple of the times that you shook your head and
Yep.
and
Yeah, so
that
when
makes
you often, I'll take a shot at walking back down through
Cool.
this, and then you all can let me know if I missed something.
I had a quick question. You have, we were talking about the setback, and I'm picturing a lot of houses have a driveway that goes next to the house, and you can park next to the house. But a lot of houses have a driveway that goes right to the garage, right? So you have your front yard, and then you have your driveway. And some of those driveways aren't incredibly long, depending on the street and the zone. So in essence, you can park right in your driveway.
Yes.
Up to your garage, and that's allowed.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, so a lot of driveways are, many, so if it's a 2-car garage, say many are the width, the driveways,
The width of the garage, yeah.
and coming all the way back. So typically you can get 3 or 4 vehicles on the driveway.
Yep.
And that's fine. And again, we've got that other part of the regulation that talks about the 3 vehicles, but we'll do, again, we got that. That hasn't changed. So, but yes.
Yeah, no,
If
I
it does
think you
come in-
addressed
if it
that.
does
You
come in
addressed all my concerns from before, just
Okay.
about, pickup truck, 2,500, 3,500. Can't tell the difference.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tucci?
Hey, I just had a thought about what Dave said about putting the onus on people to come in for special permits if we go in that direction. Would it be something that could be included in the form for home businesses to kind of not make it like we need a checkbox that have a commercial vehicle for my plumbing business too? Just a thought. That's it for me.
We got every third word.
Oh, sorry. I'm using some Bluetooth headphones. Did you guys not really hear me well? I'll try and speak up loud.
Bob said every third word. Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about what you said, Dave, about not putting the onus too much on our constituents who have small businesses or whatever, if they had to have more than one commercial vehicle. If that could be something on the form for home businesses to try and make that a little bit easier, if that's possible.
We
Did
could
you guys
certainly
get
do
that?
it, so.
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. And we can certainly try to do that and vet it when an applicant comes in to make sure that, and it is one of the criteria that if there's going to be anything parked outside, so it may necessitate a tweak in that wording as well, but nonetheless, we can alert them that they could get both special permits at once, in essence, right? Which we've done before in other cases where sometimes there's multiple special permit requests in one application and everything's discussed and reviewed cohesively in one meeting.
Yeah, I think that would be great, Shannon. Thank you.
Certainly.
Thanks, Mike. So I'll say, I mean, we've come a long way. I don't think any of us expected it to get this involved, particularly Shannon sitting over there when we first started the 1 paragraph conversation. Just gonna keep bringing that up, Shannon, right? All the way back.
Y'all remember that soundbite, don't you?
We first started the conversations, and I don't think it's perfect, but I don't think perfect is attainable. It's going to be a heck of a lot better than the unenforceable policy that we have on the regulation that we have on the books now. So I wouldn't expect this to ever be the final version of it, even with the tweaks that we're going to make tonight, but you got to try something. I too wonder about the 9-person vehicle that Peter mentioned, and I probably need to make that a 9 limit. I don't know if that doesn't seem like that pulls in vehicles that we wouldn't want to pull in, but gives some more space around. Okay.
That's fine.
And I agree with the other comments around, I think just taking the word recreation out. I'm not sure the rest of the definition makes it unenforceable because of the pieces that follow. So it just, to me, adds context around
Okay.
the other parts to the definition, but that's just my.
Is there an objection from the commission to remove the word equipment? Because again, we had started to piece together.
Yeah, I think we
stuff
can
from
take that
other
out too.
Regulations,
Yep.
so it's now as you're looking at each.
Get rid of
piece.
equipment and recreation.
Regularly used.
the
I
other
think
things,
regularly used is going to be too hard to define.
Yeah,
sorry,
but
I didn't-
that's not ultimately what.
Commissioner Canto, I didn't hear you because you were faced the other way.
I'm sorry. I think regularly used is going to be too hard to define for you guys.
We can get rid, so we can do any vehicle. We just say any vehicle used to carry, deliver, or handle goods in the conduct of business, commerce, profession, or trade.
I'm thinking though, like regular use, like we were talking about that building that's gonna be the building that's gonna be built over here. And we said irregularly, they'll only operate till about 8 o'clock, but once in a while, it's gonna go to 10. So regularly used, I think it's something like as the everyday. That's where that wording doesn't bother me to have that in there.
It would have to be a daily occurrence, somebody that's just doing something on a weekend or brought, right, that, someone from Tilcon, right? Normally they have to be, whatever, they've got a normal 9 to 5 or whatever. And now there's a unique request and they have to be at a job site at whatever, 6 a.m. So they brought this truck home, whatever it is, for a night to go so they can be at a job site at 6 a.m. If that changes and it's now all summer that they're having to do this, then they've got it right. So it's a one-off versus, and yeah, so sometimes, right, all of this with this enforcement, this is all nuance.
Right.
Right. And so now this is what you guys are seeing is what we're dealing with when we get a call from somebody that so-and-so has such and such, and this is horrendous, and I don't want to have to deal with this. And we've got to try to discern, is this a one-off thing? Is this a regular thing? And how much of this is really breaking, is it breaking absolutely every letter of the regulation or in the intent of it, or is it just kind of this nuanced thing? And can we get some type of voluntary compliance with the person making the infraction, right? So that's what we're, to Scott's point, it's not going to be perfect, but this isn't math. This isn't 1 and 1 equaling 2 every single time.
Right.
And that's,
Yeah, we're never going to close every loophole. We're never going to.
We're not.
Be able to define things so
I think
tightly.
there's
that-
some that were brought up this evening that are helpful that I think, yes. We could get rid of it, and just say commercial vehicle and go right to meets any one of the following. Passenger vehicle has more than 2 axles, or has a commercial license plate.
Yeah, my point before was I think the earlier part just gives context. It versus being the definition that defines whether you're, in violation of the regulation or not. It just provides context. It says ABC that, the lawyer's going to.
Yeah, I think the and,
The lawyer's
the
gonna
and
get-
makes it part of the standard.
Walk right into that.
And so, I mean, I think we need to be comfortable that that's part of the showing that you have to make to show that someone's in violation. And if we are going to keep the usage definition, I would recommend that we strike the carry, deliver, handle, or move goods, and just say regularly used in the conduct of business, etc.
Okay, so any vehicle regularly used in the conduct of business, commerce, profession, or trade.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. And meets one of the following. And Commissioner Zarella, to your point, I understand that it's an and. But hopefully we understand, right, that if it's a one-off, then we're gonna let this roll, right, and try to use some common sense on our
Right.
end, the staffing end of this, so when we're enforcing this. And if we gotta revisit it, then we revisit it. Okay. Garrett, you got that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Passenger vehicle. Trailer's got to come out. Thank you, Mr. Davidson.
Yep.
Trailer's got to come out. I think we're good with everything else up at the top part. And we're going to change 8 passenger to 9 passenger. Again, I understand, right? Somebody's going to come out with a different bench seat. I think we understand that the intent is that it's a utility van and it's not a minibus. And I think when we add in these
Right.
other, the 7 foot in height and 8 foot cargo, that I think we're catching ourselves on these other things. So I think going to 9 is okay.
It's 3 rows.
So do we need passengers then?
Well, we wanted to because it's the cleanest way to start to get the SUVs. It's the cleanest way because the cargo gets really convoluted because if you start to drop the seats on those SUVs, then I've got more than 8 feet in cargo length. So that's why we wanted to have the passengers in there.
So it's limited in length and height. So what if we said that made to carry more than a certain number of passengers?
Well, that's what this
'Cause you're not gonna
vehicle
stop
may
100.
carry up
Yeah.
to 8. That's what we're saying.
Right.
So we're gonna raise that to 9.
Yeah, to 9.
Up to 9.
Right.
All right.
So we'll change. So we got rid of the word trailer. Gonna raise this to 9. And
That's where we got it. Brings the party bus home.
Right.
I think
This is exactly-
It's got your delivery tonight.
this was all just removing, this is moving stuff in from other areas of the reg. Commercial vehicle. I think we were fine with everything here. We worked through that. That's got an 8 foot, that's so same classification, but we're at an 8 foot height and 10 foot length.
Right.
And then we've got our special permit. So now we're at the 15,000. Less than or equal to 15 at 1 commercial vehicle, greater than 15, 2. And then the special permit provision for anything that falls outside of this. Seeing head nods. Did I miss anything? I think we caught it all. Okay. So those are,
Okay.
none of that changes the intent of the regulation from where we started. So this, if y'all are in agreement, then it could be motion, second, and approved as noted.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments, commissioners, before I close the hearing? Okay, going to close the public hearing. Can we get a motion in a second, please?
All right. To this, right? Not to close it.
Right.
Yes, for this.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for text amendment to the regulations for zoning, Article 1, Section 9, made by the Town and Plan and Zoning Commission. The definitions, Article 2, Section 1, residential 80, 40, 30 zones, R80, R40, R30. A, permitted uses, Article 4, Section 8, off-street parking standards, Section 8A, parking on residential properties, commercial vehicle parking, and associated text edits to Section 8B and Section 13, as discussed.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes. Well, look at that.
Nicely done, everybody. Okay. All right, so we have old business. We have old business tonight. We have 2 pages of agendas tonight.
I know, I was very
Yeah.
surprised. I haven't printed one of those.
I worked really hard to get it to 1 and the type was so small, it was ridiculous. So on the phone, on Zoom, because I knew it was gonna go late and I told him he could call in via Zoom, is Henry Withers from, I'm gonna get the company.
Slam
So
Collaborative.
Slam, thank, pretty sure he's from Slam. Sorry, Henry, because you've been a few places, so I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember.
no,
for our team.
thank you, yeah.
So,
And I believe,
why
Shannon,
don't you-
that Diane Lekumsky might be on the line as well.
Let me see. No. No, Diane
And
didn't call in.
Okay, or Cheryl?
Nope, the only other person's name that I don't recognize is an Anna Cardona.
Okay.
But the hand's not raised indicate that that individual wants to participate in
All
this
right, no
conversation.
worries. I just wanted to include them if they were here. So,
Understood. So do you want to go ahead? I've got the two sheets up that you had sent to me. So why don't, and the commission has the agenda review, so they've got a little bit of the backstory. So why don't you go ahead with the explanation of what we're looking to do?
great. Thank you very much. For the record, my name is Henry Withers. I'm a registered landscape architect of the state of Connecticut. I work for the SLAM Collaborative. It's an architectural group in Glastonbury, and we are working with RTX, and we appeared before you in one of your very recent previous meetings and asked for approval of a new security entrance for 10 Farm Springs. In going through the project with corporate, there was interest in the design staying out of this light blue easement area that runs out to Farm Springs. It has a number of different uses, I think, some utility cross easements, and also the ability to put in like a cul-de-sac and pave it and that kind of thing. But they would like to stay out of that easement area to simplify. And so we've looked at a couple different options that we passed by Shannon, Bruce, and Mike Galino to make sure that none of these would be objected by them. And it seemed as though Mike was comfortable with both of the schemes that you'll see before you tonight. We ran through a number of different options, and these are the ones that corporate wanted to consider. And so what we have provided to Shannon are a couple PDFs that show Scheme 1 and Scheme 2. I can very briefly describe the differences between them, but we are before you tonight because we'd like you to consider either or both of these as viable options. And as we move forward with final decision making with RTX, be able to work through them. So option 1 is real simple. It's basically the scheme that you approved previously with the rejection lane that you see in red there going right through the middle of the easement taken out. And instead, we've provided a small back around that would turn around that would allow larger passenger vehicles and maybe even some vans to pull out around and get through. But it would mean that trucks, larger trucks, and even larger vans would have to go through the property. And Shannon, go up to the top and then come around that direction, and would come out through that, what we were saying before was primarily only a fire access lane. That would be a rejection lane for the trucks to have them come back out to the site. And so by doing that, we also did provide that same pull-off area, but we wrapped it around the little turnaround. So there is a pull-off there. And the idea would be that if a truck came in and needed to be rejected and they need to take it through the site, it would give them time for security to come and escort them through the site and bring them back out. So obviously not totally preferred. It's a little bit more complex in that they've got to escort any rejected vehicles. Apparently that doesn't happen that often, any deliveries or scheduled deliveries. So it really shouldn't happen very often, but they do want the possibility to be accommodated should it happen. This one does maintain the existing sign and the existing curb cut in place, and generally what you saw last time. And then the second scheme, what we simply did was we took that, what you see is the red scheme that you approved prior, and we rotated it clockwise from say 430 to 530, brought it down along the curve of Farm Springs Road. It's basically the exact same configuration as before. so that, again, trucks could be allowed to exit out onto Farm Springs Road without going through the main site. It has the same gate configuration and the same guardhouse configuration, but everything's just slid to 5 o'clock instead of 4:30. So that would mean, however, relocating the existing RTX sign and relocating the existing curb cut. The curb cut for 9 Farm Springs is much further down the road. It's probably about double the distance between these 2 curb cuts to the left or to the, it's actually the south. These schemes are positioned. So I think north is technically, I think it's not quite true north up on the page, but anyway, to the left, that exit to 9 is further down, so that there would be no interference with that. The other positive to this scheme is that it does leave a large stand of trees where we were clearing for the rejection lane. Leaves a large stand of trees there that are right opposite, the apartments, so that essentially, they wouldn't be looking at pavement. They would be looking at the existing trees that are there, so their view line would be, nicer. But it would mean that the fence line that we showed there is relocated. The sign would be, taken and relocated to essentially the same area. We would need to, just to the right of the entrance, and we would have to adjust that slightly, depending on. I know that there's a utility box here with some fiber optics and some other communications lines, so we would want to make sure that we avoid that. But it essentially would be the same configuration you see today, just slid down further. So I don't know if I've missed anything, but I think that is in general an executive summary of the 2 changes. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Questions, anybody?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
No questions.
No, I think that's good. Thank you for the presentation.
So there's 2 schemes. Are you asking us to choose one? Is it no?
No, we're asking for permission basically to approve both and allow this to continue with staff review. So these are conceptual plans that they've done to show that geometrically it works. They haven't embarked on the engineering because you can imagine that it is kind of like Swiss cheese with utilities in this corporate campus between fiber optics and just with fiber optics and electric. And then we've got their sanitary sewer and storm drain lines that we were trying to work with in the original position. So as they slide this down, they didn't want to have to redo the engineering for both schemes, right? So the thought being that it doesn't really, again, doesn't change the intent of what the commission reviewed and approved previously. So if the commission's agreeable, allow both of these schemes, either one be a suitable option to the original approval under staff review. Obviously, as usual, if there's something that really is really quirky that comes up, then I will bring it back to the commission. But if it mostly aligns with either scheme 1 or 2, the intent would be that it does not need to come back to the commission for further site plan review.
Gotcha. Thank you. That's my only question.
That was my question.
Mike Tucci, any questions?
I forgot. Was the original this large to have trucks come through?
Yes, the original that you see in red is the exact same. We basically created this in Photoshop. We took that red outline and just simply rotated it. It's exactly pretty much the same as what you saw there before, other than the sign would also then move as well. But it's the previous scheme. Yeah.
I did not see the red until Shannon just zoomed in a little bit. Okay, I understand that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm fine, Shannon. I think either one of those is.
Okay. In this case, because it's actually going to modify, if I could get a motion. So unlike a planner's report where we'll just get a consensus, if I could get a motion second and approval to allow either scheme to advance under staff review, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Are we ready for that?
What's that?
Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're ready for that.
I'd like to make a motion that to approve minor modifications made by RTX Corporation, 10 Farm Springs Road, to the September 22nd, 2025 approval to the security entrance driveway as discussed.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
All right. You're all set, Henry. Thank you. Stay in touch.
Great. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Commission. We appreciate it greatly. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good night. Okay. Planners report. Actually, you know what? Let's just take a 5-minute or 2-3-minute recess.
Yeah.
Take a few minute recess.
Okay.
And then we'll hit planners report items.
No.
Oh, yeah. That's like the ongoing joke that number one. Arguments with it.
Now, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same place?
No, no.
Thank you.
No, no, you're good.
But we're gonna head out, but thank you for voting on it. It's been just ongoing. And I know it's probably not the last battle that I have to deal with my neighbor. And it's been 15 years now that I've had to deal with anytime I do anything. Sure, I'm a horrible neighbor in other people's eyes, but I just really appreciate that this one at least is put to bed and I can go home and actually get for us.
Thanks for sticking with it too.
Thank you.
Hey. It's on the 24/7 lot.
Oh boy.
Under half an acre. What has the issue? I'm gonna ask.
Yeah, so she actually what's supposed to go there. After we had her fourth kid.
Never had a signal down here. We got a signal for a minute. This is weird.
Well, it's like working. Yeah. Finally got per diem. No Wi-Fi in there or something. That was a dead zone. She did a horrible offer to pass up, so. Because that keeps her. Yeah.
It's not strong. It's like,
Right.
yeah, I never get that.
Yeah, right?
Right? I was like, whoa, it's like shoreline with, I was like,
No,
where did this come
no,
from?
we recessed.
He's got some-
Because I was like, anything that I was like, I couldn't get to something that I didn't need you here for. I'm like, okay, we're gonna.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I understand. 3 hours. I get you. I 100%.
I'd love one. trust
All
me.
good.
Okay, everyone got to stretch their legs.
I'd rather wait.
Okay.
Thanks for making the meeting.
We'll reconvene and this will be,
You don't have the right to complain.
Oh,
This
yes,
is
I
the
do.
last one.
Is it?
I always have a right to complain.
This is right. But no one's gonna listen.
okay.
Well, that may be.
We're gonna reconvene maybe. So there you
No,
go.
you used it. You used it on myself,
There you
right?
go. You just made Lance's night.
Thanks it.
You use it on myself.
You gotta like smack that thing though. Like that's the first. There we go.
Wow, with authority.
Well, it's on the countertop too, which gets added echo.
All right. So the first thing, for those that will be joining us in 2026, the 4 of you, we will have land use training at the January 12th, 2026 meeting. So I CC'd you on a very lengthy email today for those that haven't had an opportunity to see it. That had all of the info that went to our new members, you were CC'd in, all sorts of fun stuff. So obviously you will be here for the Bob DiCrescenzo portion of the training. I think all of you, Peter, you're the only one I don't have specifically because I know you started this year. So I think you did all the
Yeah, I did.
modules.
Yep.
Okay. So you don't have to redo the modules in case, unless you have some burning desire to go back to the Yukon Clear websites and go through any of those. But it also is a nice reference and there is other stuff. So it's there should you ever want it in the future. So that's it about 2026. House Bill 8002. Peter, I know you started the, do you want to, I don't know if
Yeah,
you
I mean,
want to start the conversation or?
I mean, it's pretty, I mean, it's a little premature since we'll probably wait until January, but yeah, I mean, it's a big affordable housing bill came out. It's going to spark a lot of discussion in town, I'm sure. And I think it's something that is going to be a pretty involved process. I think we should start thinking about how we want to structure our role as commissioners in it in terms of interfacing with the staff, the amount of public hearings we want to have, when we have them, things like that. So I think it's something everyone should be giving some thought over the holidays, and because it's not that long of a timeline that they're giving.
No.
To get stuff implemented. So
No.
that's just where I wanted to get on the radar.
Okay.
And that's part of the presentation in January too, right?
So Bob is going to touch on it in January. What typically happens is there's a variety of legal professional societies as well as planning professional societies that will start to give summaries of the bill and exactly what we need to be doing, what the action items are as to how to appropriately implement this. The Office of Legislative Research did issue a summary, and that was prior
to it going to the court for proposing.
Okay.
So when the bill was proposed, they normally do some sort of analysis after the special session.
So I generally don't like to share something with all of you that I have not read. So I have it. I'm going to go ahead because it's 70 pages. It's public information. So I'm going to go ahead and share it with again, my 4 returners. And share, I'll send it out to everybody in case you've got interest in it, but I'll share it out and then you can take a look and start to walk through. As I get through it, I can then come back because not all the parts, so not all 71 pages are necessarily planning and zoning related. But we also, as I mentioned, this is going to sync a little bit with our POCD. And one of the things we're going to have to decide, what I did read before the meeting, is you'll recall there was an affordable housing plan, and that was adopted in July of 2021. And that was based on a public act in early 2020, I think in 2020, or maybe even 2019, that we adopted then in 2021, our affordable housing plan. A portion of this bill rescinds that requirement and puts in a new requirement, which is fine. We were due for an update this year on the affordable housing plan. So now we don't have to do that, but we have to do either a new housing growth plan or agree to be part of CROG's housing growth plan. We need more information on what that means as we go through, or try to get more information on what that means before we have to make a decision on that. If we are going to do our own, it can be incorporated with the plan of conservation and development, and it's going to sync nicely with that, assuming we can get everything done. The plan of conservation and development is due for renewal, say January 2018. Bill had done an update. Bill Warner had done an update to the POCD. The 2008 POCD was updated in 2017 and became effective in 2018. So now we're due for another one for 2028. which this housing growth plan has to be done by June 2028 for our region, whether we do it independently or we're part of CROG. So we could dovetail if we think that's going to make sense for us. But we're going to need a little more info to understand what the pros and cons are of both.
They only give you 30 days from when the regional plan becomes official to accept or reject it.
Yeah, well, we have to make a decision before this. So they give us 30 days. It's like when they give us our housing goal, then we have to make a decision as to whether or not we want to be part of CROG's plan once we're given our housing goal. So there's a lot. So again, I can send this out so you can start to read it in your spare time over the holidays. But we will start to get this into, hopefully get this into chunks, right? Is what, because we're even going to need it. So that's, it goes, and a lot of times, sometimes the attorneys have to go back and start to listen to and get the transcripts of the conversations that took place to try to understand, all right, this is what's written, but what did they mean for us to do with some of this stuff? So, but what I have done is, it's budget. So it's budget time for staff in that in November, we have to put our capital improvement budgets in place. And in December, it's our operating budgets. So the town council can review them in January and February. So we're all ready to vote on them at town meeting in April and then vote at the end of April or May. So this has been, I've been programming this in because when Bill did the amendment, the update in 2018, it was parts. And it's not that it wasn't appropriate. I think it was appropriate at the time. But when you go back to the 2008 version, it definitely needs a refresh and brought up to today's standards and what we would like to look at for a document in the vision of Farmington without losing some of the history that's in there. So we're planning on having a consultant come in, and we were budgeting that so that we can have a consultant, a planning consultant that's been, we'll have to do an RFP and go out because we're budgeting like $100,000 ish. And then I've been carrying other money for the affordable housing plan. So we do have funds there to dovetail everything, assuming the budget's approved. But the intent is to go to RFP in the spring. So when, assuming the budget's approved and the capital funds are there, that we could award a contract basically July 1st and go from July 1st of 26 through springtime of 27, doing meetings and public outreach, but have a consultant to help us that's done this before in other communities and have platforms, right? Someone will use storyboards, or they'll use web browsers. We can have coffee meetings, we can have different workshops and try different things to try to get public engagement. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not, but we can at least have them and say that we tried, and the notification processes, et cetera. But that's the game plan, so that we've got, again, a consultant that's done this and been through this recently with other communities, so that we've got some guidance and somebody that's familiar with all the processes with this as we're continuing to process applications and stuff, right? So somebody else can be working on this in the background and have meetings with us regularly. So there is going to be a little bit of a lift because we're going to have to read and help shape and form what this ultimately looks like.
And when in 28 is that due?
I want to say it had an effective date of February 2028. So the housing plan is June 2028. If we needed to slide the POCD so it lines up with the housing plan, or if the housing plan's done, if we go with CROG, then it doesn't matter. If we are going to incorporate it ourselves, then the two will dovetail and cycle together. So, and if we can demonstrate that we've got everything in place and we're just, whatever, doing a public hearing or whatever, then it's fine. But in both cases, POCD and this housing growth plan, if they are not completed on time, and then they will hold back state funding. If we can demonstrate that we're 90% through, and we're not just saying, no, we're not doing it because we don't want to do it. If we can demonstrate we're through and we're hitting all the steps, then it's a letter. Kathy would have to sign a letter. If we're going for funding and doing an application, then we would have to say, no, it was due here, but we're here because we incorporated these other pieces. So it was one comprehensive package, and it would be fine. It would not be a stumbling block for us, but that's the time frame. And I think we've baked in enough time for that. I mean, basically a year, from July 1 of 2026 to July 1 of 2027. And then it gives us the fall of 27 to do hearings and approvals with our commission. Town council has to review and approve the POCD, and then it's got to go to CROG. And then if we're doing the housing plan as part of it, it's not OPM. There's some other agency it's got to go to at the state as well. So we have like 4 months of review, 4 or 5 months of review process. So we'll need that time at the end of the second half of 27 in order to just get it through all the agencies. So. Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough. You're good.
And
Okay.
does this take a big part of our meetings?
It will be a portion, and we may have to do some additional work session meetings like we did when we did the affordable housing plan. So if we're processing applications the second and fourth Monday of the month, and part of it depends on the load, right? If we're at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, we're not starting a detailed conversation on a POCD or a housing plan. It just doesn't, it's not going to function well for everybody.
Right.
So we may have to program in additional work session meetings on and off Monday to try to do that. Understanding, we are not going to get everybody every single time, but we've got a deadline that we need to hit and we need to move forward.
And are those public meetings like these or are they?
Anytime the whole commission meets, it's a public meeting. Okay. Yep. It can be a work session. So it's a public meeting in that the public can be here.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily public comment. So that's, again, we'll work with the consultant to figure out how the commission is soliciting public comment on the POCD and what part. It's a very comprehensive document. So what parts and how is it best done to solicit that input so that it can be synthesized and used in a meaningful way in the document. So there will be parts that are public comment input, and there may be just some work session meetings so that we can just plow through a few things, because we'll need to plant the structure and the lead into the public meetings and whatnot. There may be, I envision there's going to be some discussion amongst the commission as to how we do it, what it looks like, blah, blah, blah. And with the consultant here. So we're going to learn this one as we go together.
So these all have minutes that we'll be posting, probably a different section of our website maybe? or-
Correct. Yes.
There's no agenda. There's no.
Okay, very good.
Different level of detail. Thankfully, with the use of Zoom and it being recorded, it makes that a little easier. So some of the work session meeting minutes are probably going to be more detailed, or like action item, to-do list things and action item, as opposed to the conversational. So, but yes, there'll be some tracking of it because we'll need it for advancing this.
Good.
Okay. Any questions? I'll get the OLR document out to all of you. Okay. Okay. That's all I have this evening. I don't have anything else.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay. Okay. Then it's just approval. We've got 2 meeting minutes to approve.
Yeah.
I realized the October 27th one, the meeting minutes actually say approving October 27th meeting instead of approving the October 6th meeting minutes. Oops. So
All
it
right.
doesn't matter. They can both be done.
Should we make a motion to thank Scott too?
I don't think we should do a motion for that. Let's go.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of November 12th, 2025 Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining because I wasn't there. So,
All right.
and then
I'd like to make a motion to approve the updated minutes of the October 27th, 2025 Town Plan and Zoning Commission meeting. The correction of the error at the end of meeting minutes to correctly indicate the October 6th, 2025 meeting minutes were approved.
Abstaining from.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Yes.
Got it.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.